What is up, guys? It is MMD Cards again with another Poke Piece talk. Let's jump into these market updates. It's only been a day, but guess what? We needed to make another video showcasing yet again OP13. We have multiple sales above 310, hitting 315, 320, 325. Our low list now is about 330, and it gets very quick until you hit 350. This is drying up fast. It is blowing out my expectations. I did not think it would be 350 that soon, but I think it is going to be pretty soon. The walls are moving, the walls are coming down. You can see by these low lists, and let's look at the second page. Second page is basically a bunch of 350s right there, with devastation there at 127 boxes, having that wall at 350. So I think 300 is basically almost done with. I don't think anyone really is going to list anymore for that quick money. And let me remind you guys, this is Q4. This is Q4 with Christmas week, with New Year's coming. This usually means people have money aside, set aside for those kind of things / vacations. They're not buying their luxury products, AKA cardboard, AKA One Piece right now. So I fully expect that coming into the new year that there is going to be a lot more buying power from individuals that are usually in the market, that are probably taking off December buying because of, you know, the holidays and so forth. So that takes us to the case. Whereas the case still sitting around the same 4,000. Not going to see much movement here until some of these 4,000, 4,200s really get eaten. And like I said before, it is our Q4. I don't really expect this to move that often and that fast, but I do think the loose boxes are going to be something that more people can afford, more people can buy, more people that want 1 or 2 or 3 for their collection. And they're starting to see that 300 is drying up faster than they thought. Maybe they were thinking that, you know, oh, it hit 260, it hit 270. I'll just wait back and sit back and wait for 250. But instead it went the opposite direction, and now they're sitting at 330. Now people are contemplating, will they go back to 300? I'll buy at 300. And then the wall hits 350. I'll buy at 350. We're going to see this box continue to move up. There was just a manga sale. I should have had it pulled up. I should have pulled it up, but there was just a manga sale on a PSA 10 Luffy red manga at 17,000. So that is still holding pretty well. Let's move into this box here. Okay, so after a little OP13 talk, what else do we want to speak about today? What else do we want to bring into the light of the market? Here is what I want to show you guys. There are multiple boxes at the $400 mark. Mind you, let's remember that OP13 is not at that mark yet, okay? It is a newer set. It still has not reached that mark. But I want to showcase a few different sets and a few different boxes with their potential to see which ones line up against each other, which ones have that EV, that potential to rise faster than others, and which ones to avoid or maybe not avoid. Let's go. We have OP09 right here sitting at $400 to $420. OP09, crazy set, 3 mangas. We've got Blackbeard, we've got Shanks, and we've got a Luffy. As far as listings go, there are a decent amount listed on the market, a bunch at 400, a bunch until you hit that 450 mark. So what does that tell me? It tells me with this graph, even having this small little fish hook up here, I think that OP09 is going to be a 450 box very soon. Very strong set. The Nami SP is also in this set. Boa SP, you have a Luffy manga, you have Shanks, and you have the Blackbeard. Insane set. Oh my god, am I forgetting? Buggy manga is also in the set. I'm so sorry, I forgot. Buggy is in this set as well. Just went right over my head. So OP09, crazy set. I love the Buggy manga, by the way. What is the next set? Around 400. Let's start towards the beginning. Let's go back to older sets. OP02 sitting at 400. One sale 420 here, but majority of sales listed at 400. A bunch here listed around 4 to 420 and 24 listings. And we get to the same barrier. By the second page, we're already at $450 to $500 a box. This is a special set because it is Paramount War. I want to remind everyone that OP15 is going to showcase Paramount War. Does this mean that people will go look back and try to hit this OP02 and try to really get some value out of it being the second set. I don't know. This also is going to play into something that we're going to look forward to in a few minutes, and that is the Ace manga. How is the Ace manga holding up this set? What other cards are helping hold this set up? And why is it only $400 being the second set only? Well, then we should look to OP03. OP03. What are the sales? We have 380 to 400. So it's almost around that $400 mark, a little bit less. Has the Soja King manga. And we only see 17 listings. And the first page right here, it basically has 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 boxes before we hit that wall at $450. Again, there's the same $400 barrier. It seems like a lot of people are trying to find value in $400 and less boxes before it rises, and it looks like this sort of imaginary wall is being built around $400 to where the regular consumer or the regular collector think it is a little bit too much to really gain value after that point. That takes us into OP04. So we have 2, 3, and 4 hitting around that $400 mark. 405, 400, 400, this one at 350, but basically we're seeing $400 sales now. A few listed actually a little bit under 400, but then we also get to the second page and we are going to see that 450 is our barrier right there. So 27 listings, not many are going to be before we hit that $450 mark. This is the set that has the Sabo manga. It was not that hype off release being a Sabo manga. Some of the cards in here are a little bit lackluster, but it does also have that Boa SP that is kind of helping hold up the set. Let's move on. OP11. Now this is not a $400 box, but I do want to remind everyone of OP09, OP11. These are two powerhouse sets. OP11 sitting at 228, majority of the sales, and a bunch listed around that 228, 230 mark. A whole second page before we even get to one listing at 250. Is this a contender? We have gold Luffy, silver Luffy, and we also have a Luffy manga in this set, alongside a bunch of other SPs. This is still under the radar. I commented earlier on a viewer's comment on my last video talking about OP11, and it is just a sleeper. Why is it a sleeper? It's because everyone's focus right now is on 13, and then they go back to 9. They're missing the 11 because it's too close, too recent. It's in recent memory. They're not thinking that they should FOMO. They've been there, they've seen it, but then, oh, I haven't been in One Piece because I haven't seen 09. I haven't been in One Piece that long, so I should grab that box that was older, 09. I'll come back for OP11. Well, sooner than later, these quantities are running out. You can kind of see 30 boxes there, 39, 70, 141, 110. Small fish hook coming at the top again. Like I said, a lot of these boxes are experiencing this small little fish hook, and that is just, I think, due to a Q4 and holidays. I don't think that it means a decline in this set by any means, and it's usually just a few bucks if anything. Want to overview OP05 one more time. Having sales above 750, it is still holding very strong. There's a bunch of listings here, and then we get a second page. I think it is also going to see 800, but I don't think it's going to hit 800 until the end of the year, into a little bit closer into the new year of 2026. I think a lot of the boxes already have kind of been bought out at the price points that people could typically afford, and now we're seeing it slow down. 10 boxes, 10 boxes, 9 boxes, 3 boxes. So I think the volume there is going to slow down on OP05. I think it is still a great set that's going to hold value over time, but I don't think that the quantities and the listings are going to sell out that soon. So this is something that may sit around this price point for a little bit. And that also wants to 3, 2, 1. And that also wants me to get to OP12. OP12 is also a set in recent memory. Gold, and we're seeing sales still $130. So this has a double SSP, I'm sorry, and it has a Bonnie manga that is doing relatively decent. Why is this set still under $150? It is undervalued. It is just because that there was a decent amount of volume sold for OP12, and people went and bought pre-orders for 13 while 12 was out. They saw the leaks that were coming for 13 and they said they were going to save the money for 13 and kind of, you know, brush off 12 and maybe come back later, whatever it may be. This set is still a sleeper. It has the Demon Aura event manga as well. Various SPs under $150. That is a great value in my opinion. But what the focus of today's video is going to be on is these undervalued sets of OP12 and OP11 for sure. But I did want to do a little 3, 2, 1. I did want to do a little bit of a deeper dive on these $400 boxes and which ones that you can kind of pit against each other. This brings us to how are their mangas holding up and what is the top chase in the set? Everyone wants to know. The top chase in the set is obviously the manga, but how is it doing? How is it doing compared to the box, and what value can I get if I end up investing or getting this box as a collector? So showcasing first, OP02, let's try to go in order a little bit. We have the Ace manga. This is sitting around 2,000, 2,200, one high seller there at 2,300 in recent memory, and not many dipping out of that range. It's kind of sitting in that range of $2,200 to $2,000. Ace manga, a very popular manga. This was a great manga off OP02 in the early days of One Piece. I still think that this manga is underrated. We just got a second iteration of Ace in OP13, also receiving a red manga. But I think this one is a slept on. I think this one is either going to have some sort of catalyst in the future where it spikes it up. But I think this may be the driving factor before O2 boxes actually see a boost. I don't know why people aren't going back for O2. I'm kind of unsure, but I don't think that 400 is correct for this box. I think this box deserves more love. It deserves more respect. And once this manga starts hitting the $2,500 to $3,000 range, I think that's where the boxes are going to start seeing a little bit more presence, a little bit more popularity in collecting / investing in. Our next manga, OP03, we hit the Soja King. So there's a little set here, 1,100. I don't really count this one. We're going to look at a bunch. 3, 2, 1. We are going to look at a bunch of sales here, and it looks to be sitting around this $1,500 mark. Low sale here at 12 and 13, then you have a 17 high. So I want to give it about an average of 14 to 1,500 is where it's selling. You see a lot of low lists, a little bit higher than that, anticipating some sort of buildup on this because it's an O3 manga, but I think for this case, that Soja King was not relatively taken in well when it first released. OP03, a little bit of a weaker set, especially on release and a little bit after that. Soja King, although a decent character, it still doesn't have that much presence as a manga, in my opinion. And I don't think that we're going to see that similar spike that we might see for O2 and O3. O3 is still a little bit mid, in my opinion. $400 seems to be okay for the mark as where the Soja King stands. Unless Soja King can hit 2,000, then I don't think that there's going to be much value in it for collectors or investors, whichever way you want to see it, to get this top card in a PSA 10. That takes us to the Sabo. The Sabo is sort of similar to the Soja King, not very liked on release. It was an okay manga, and you see sales around here, around 1,300, 1,400. I would probably give it around 1,300 as an average. It is almost similar to that Soja King style-esque, and that's why you're seeing boxes sit at that $400 range. Again, OP04, but I think that BOA is going to hold it a little bit higher than 3, so you may be able to see a little bit more price appreciation for Paramount War and Kingdom's Intrigue. If I had to rate those 3 in order, I would probably go 2, 4, 3. I think 2 is the strongest out of the 3 that are all 400, and then 4, and then 3. 9 is definitely a tier above all of those, in my opinion. I think that this is a special set, being second anniversary as well, and that it is just because it is more so newer than 2, 3, 4, that it is still only at $400, but I do think that this box will continue to rise. Let's move on to our next manga, and that is manga Luffy in 11. Why do I want to showcase this? I want to showcase this because look at this range of value in OP11 Luffy. We have 1,800 about for our last 5-6 sales there as an average. One hitting 19, a little bit in 17s here, but I think it's going to be a $2,000 manga very soon. So it's a little bit unfair to it is a little bit unfair to compare and contrast Luffy mangas with a Luffy set compared to other sets that are Ace, Sabo, Soja but this is a newer set. This manga has a higher pop. If we go back and look at the Sabo, we have 2,000 there. 04 was printed a lot, but we have the Soja 800 and the Ace here, 1,000 as well. Now, I do want to remind everyone very, very quickly that the OP11 boxes are just under $230 consistently, and that's not even showcasing the silver and the gold SSPs and their PSA 10s. I just wanted to compare mangas with other mangas in the set of this 2, 3, 4. 11 sleeper set, you have that Luffy. And let's move to this Shanks here. So there's obviously a bunch of mangas here in 09. There are a bunch of mangas here, and even the Shanks is over $2,000. So this Shanks competing alongside a bunch of other mangas in 09 is still more than the 11 Luffy and still more than the Ace, which is from 02, and the Sabo and the Soja. That shows the strength of 09. Blackbeard as well sits in 09 right here. Also, another manga that is hitting strides over $2,000. Not long ago, this was hitting around $1,600, $1,700, but now people are realizing that with a population report of 506 in PSA 10, that these are a little bit shorter printed because they had to split up the manga ratios with all the other mangas in 09. Strong set, another manga hitting over $2,000, and the Luffy, of course, hitting 3,600, 3,300, 4,000. Barely any low list on the market. This is a manga, in my opinion, if you have the chance to scoop, I think it is undervalued. I think this manga, in my opinion, is going to be the carrier of 09, and I think is going to be the face of 09, more so than the Shanks and the Blackbeard and the Buggy. But this is the manga, and if we look at population reports of PSA 10s, we are hitting 617, a little bit here of BGS and CGC, but with this many listings on the market, not many at all, people holding these Luffy mangas, they're continuing to rise. These were sitting around 3,000, 2,500, and now we quickly jumped to that $4,000 range. Fanatic sale at 3,300. They pay a buyer's premium, so I don't know exactly how much the buyer ended up paying for that, but it's probably over 3,500 there. This card, 3,500 to 4,000, undervalued in my opinion, just because of where the Shanks and that Buggy are sitting at 2,500 and 2,000. I think this Luffy is far tiers above both of those in 09, just as in my 3, 2, 1, just in my opinion only. So that takes us to a couple of other things that I wanted to speak about. Showcasing 12 one more time, showing that the Bonnie manga, a Bonnie manga in 12, that is a set that is still, I remind you, a set that is still around $130. Okay, the manga is sitting, let's say, around $1,500 here. 1,400 sale here, 1,600, around $1,500. Population report of PSA in 544, but is a newer set, so expect that population report to rise. It might be around 1,000, maybe a little bit more than 1,000, but this Bonnie manga is the one that is so far carrying the set. We'll put quotation marks on it because there are a few other cards of the Blackbeards that are also helping it out. But if you have a manga that is around that $1,500 mark, again, a small reminder of what the Soja and the Sabo are doing because of the older boxes. They are at 400 and the 12 is at 130. So the EV value of it being almost 3-4 times less than, you know, a sealed product booster box of 2, 3, and 4 is insane, because the Bonnie is doing better than a Soja manga. The Bonnie is doing better than the Sabo manga. It's under the Ace manga. Ace, a little bit more of a popular character there, and it being O2. I understand that completely, but do I think that this box deserves to stay at 130? I don't think so. I think it's going to rise. We look at the Silver Teach, very low population report, and a 166 on PSA 10s. Also around that $1,200 mark. A little bit higher sales at 16, 16, 19 there, but I think an average here is 12, 1300. And let's take a look at the gold, 181, similar report population to the gold and the silver. And we see the gold selling around $1,700 to $2,000. I'd probably put 18, 1900 as an average. And that 18, 1900 is basically that close to the Ace manga prices. And that's just a Blackbeard gold. So you have this set that is 12 that is newer, but it's sitting at $130. And then you have these older sets. Maybe it is harder to obtain those sealed booster boxes of 2, 3, 4. I understand that for a collector's standpoint and an investor's standpoint, but we cannot ignore the value that 12 has. We cannot ignore the value that it brings to the table while also having only a price point of $130. I think that is a stellar buy. I think that 11 is still very underrated, and I think that 9 is going to balloon up fast, but it is not going to, I take it back. I don't think it's going to be that fast because of 13 overshadowing. Same thing with 11. I think 13 is overshadowing this one a little bit as well, and we're seeing buying volume a little bit lower here compared to where 13 is still super, super high in its buy volume. Sorry, that was cases there I want to showcase right here. The graphs look similar, but you need to pay attention to these reports where it says items sold. 651 items there, 250, 166, 105 being that lowest little graph tier right here. Now, if you just look at it in general, it looks like almost all of the other graphs, but you need to pay attention to the quantity because you only get to 100 here, 41, 71, 39, 31. So way less volume there. And in 09, even similar look at 79, 39, 19, 22, 14. So that tells me that people eyes are off of 09, off of 11, and they are all on 13. They see the EV on 13. Once 13 reaches a set price, which I don't know this imaginary line that everyone is drawing in their head. I don't know the consumer imaginary line of it being over 500, 700, 900. But once it reaches a point that surpasses this $400 mark of 09, and I mean, it's already reached a point that's already past 11, but I think that's when people will start to look back and start to look for the EV, the value. Where is the value that I can get? Where can I look towards? They're going to look towards 9, 11, and 12, in my opinion. Don't get stuck in that trap of 8 and 10. I do think 8 is a great set, but in terms of value, these sets are so low in their booster box prices that I think it is still okay to go for these now, even while 13 is booming. If you've already built your 13 position and you're okay, then you're okay. Start looking back on some of these other sets. But if you still want to just be all in on 13, I still think 300 is still very low. You already missed that 260, 270, 280 point. 300 is already going to be obsolete very, very soon with the way things are looking. I would not doubt that sometime soon, within the next 3 or 4 videos, maybe even the next video, that the floor on 13 is going to be 350, if not more, okay? You have to look towards what are the top chases in the set. You have to look for the supporting cast of what is holding that value if it is just not time. Time being this, time being this, time being this. After a certain point, when you are looking against the time, you have to look towards what cards will help hold the set up. With Law and Newgate being the only other cards of over $100 other than the Sabo and the Boa, with Boa very, very heftily. It is a great, great card. It is holding a high price value. This is almost like a SSP / second manga type price for 04. I think 04 is very strong comparatively to something of 3. And 3 has the wanted posters. I want to remind you that 3 is not crazily weak. 3 has the wanted posters and the Nami leader. And yet we are still seeing these hikes all around other sets before we reach 2, 3, and 4. When I say mid, I mean mid as in if you're comparing to 13, if you're comparing to 11. But if you're comparing to a set like 7, if you're comparing it to a set like even a set like 10, or even right now with how 8 is looking, these still have a lot of value being older sets, 2, 3, 4. But I know I'm going back and forth. This and this are probably the second priority to this, okay? After that is where you start looking for maybe you can get a better deal at an LCS, at a card show, whatever it may be. But this is where you want to hone in and lock in. We are in this time frame now of where 13 is going to be unobtainable soon at these prices under 300, under 350. It's happening fast, I know. I don't want to FOMO anyone, but the way the market is moving is happening fast and people have to make moves. Make your move, make your judgment call, and stick with it. I thank you all for watching this extended video showcasing some of the mangas, showcasing some of the older sets that we haven't really spoken about that much, but I digress. It's already a 20+ minute video. Thank you all for watching. We'll have another one soon. I am enjoying this series a lot. Thank you all for your comments. I love reading the comments and what else we can discuss because I want to hear other people's opinions. Thank you all again. Have a good one. Peace.